Welcome to the Jaybe show on Revolutionary Blackout Network. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. So good to see all of you here on this Sunday afternoon. Well, it is December 1st, 2024. We're in the last month of the year. Interesting. Everybody, look, let me tell you, 2024 has been a very interesting year. I hope y'all got your tea because we're gonna have some conversations today. Because I don't know. It's like for some reason, like websites are shutting down on me, and then the internet is acting kind of wonky. I don't know what just happened, but we shall press on. We'll press on. Good to see all of you here joining. Let's try that again. If you guys have not already, go ahead and give a like to the stream. That helps us out with the algorithm. And then also, if you guys have not, you guys can join our mailing list at revolutionaryblackout.substack.com. Hopefully this stays. I don't know what's going on with today. I heard something about being at a solar maximum. Is that already happening? Was there a solar flare? I don't know, but it is weird. Y'all, has this been happening for you guys as well? Like, please put in the chat if something like this has been happening for you guys. Because I don't know what is going on unless they're working on the internet or something, but it's weird. Anywho, let's go to the chat to say our hellos and our introductions because this is Kevin Burquist says cops are terrorists. Cat. Thank you very much. Island Vibe says JB, what's up, brother? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. What in the hell? These technical difficulties keep happening. And I'm like, it wasn't happening earlier. It's just weird. It just happened all of a sudden. Kenneth Ellison says, hit the like button. Yes, thank you so very much. That helps us out very much. Thank you very much for that. Joe Anthony says, F 2024. Look, there's been a lot of revelations happening in 2024, and I'm kind of just like I'm deeply in anticipation of what will happen in 2025 because we'll be starting a continuation of a presidency, and then on top of it, there will be I think there's going to be some even deeper revelations that's going to happen. And there's going to be some flips I foresee coming. Some flips societally, electorally. And then I also foresee some geopolitical flips. Now, I'm not a psychic or anything like that, but for some reason I feel in my gut that there's going to be some flips and some turns that's going to happen in 2025. And once it happens, everybody's going to be like, I didn't have that on my bingo card. And it's going to be like, yeah, this is happening. I don't know. Hunker down and stay tuned. So we'll get into that. Dabby Dab says, hello at fam. Good to see you in here as well. Falcon Eye says, go. Yep, I felt that way too. Jay said, RIP. Yeah, I had dipped out for a second. I don't know who it was, but you know what I'm saying. Jay says, all good over here. That's good. I'm glad. Yeah, Falcon Eye says the magnetic field has flipped supposedly. Yeah, that was the interesting thing. I was watching a video about how the poles on the sun flipped. So the North Pole and the South Pole flipped so that the North Pole is down there and the South Pole is. It's weird how the sun actually works. It's just a huge, thermonuclear reactor in the sky. So DJ Leader says, what's going on, my fam? Good to see a DJ Leader. Lauren says, hey, JB, just over here making potato soup on a cold, cozy Sunday listening to RB. Please tell me that you added some green onions to it, some scallions, and then put it on top. Please tell me. Oh, that sounds so good. Oh my goodness. Me and my big backery. I love it. I love it. Frosted Mug says, most likely to happen when calling cops, you're getting murdered. Your family or friends are getting murdered. A stranger is getting murdered. I'm going to be talking about that when my guest arrives. So we'll be talking about that too. Lorchek says, you didn't hate Mondays of 2024. You don't hate Mondays of 2024, but capitalism. Well, yeah, I mean, that's true. Cowboy Kitty says, moving? Is that a moving truck? Kitty and Waves. Good to see you. All right. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but for some reason it's like maybe it's just me. I don't know. When it comes to like the electronics, but it could just be a coincidence. Maybe. You never know. But hopefully everything stays stable. Falcon Eye says, hopefully the nuclear bursts stay on the sun rather than the earth. Look, I'm telling you right now. This country acting up. It's acting a fool. And I'm telling you right now, what I also see coming is the world saying no more. No more. Like, we're done with you. Like, go home, United States. You're drunk. That's how I see it. I don't see it any other way, unfortunately, but we shall see. Roger Meadows says, remember, broad coalitions on every single issue are a fantasy. You coalesce on an issue by issue basis. Yeah. The thing is, you know what? And part of me is like, you know what? Are we also doing that when it comes to party too? I mean, this is why I honestly think that, I'm definitely venturing closer to your position, Roger, of just eliminating political parties altogether. Just like don't have parties at all. Make having political parties illegal. And then everybody is forced to go according to policies to whoever they want. And this is according and from an electoral perspective, you go according to policies that align most with yours, and you build coalitions there. I don't see the benefit of parties until we outlaw money in politics. Which reminds me, I have to watch the last, I think it's 2 more episodes I need to go to. Episode 9 and 10, I think it is, of the master plan. I'll finish those up over the next day or so. But yeah, one of the things that I actually learned from there was that it was a oh my God, who was it? It was a judge. Was it a judge that said that money is property, not speech? And really, the people at the top, they got pissed off about it because they were like, no, money has to be speech. And it's like, no, money is property. But of course, we have to get money out of politics, and the only way we'll actually get money out of politics in a real way is a revolution. But here's the thing, though, because a lot of people say that a revolution, when people think revolution, they think of something bloody, they think of something violent, right? You know what? I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this because this is perfect for this. Um, this lady spelled that out so well. Okay, hang on. Um, let me share this because this is quite apropos. Let me see. Yep, I favorited it. Okay. Um, okay. I wanted to share this with you guys because I think this is going to be very interesting to go into because when we talk about revolution, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the fly by your seat of your pants and then you go to war. Um, if we're going to be talking about revolution, then that means it already started by this metric. Let me share this with y'all. And I want to share this also. Hopefully I can share this with Nick and Stabby as well when we see each other this Thursday for the roundtable, because I think they would get I think they would actually like hearing this. But let's go.
In a few videos a little while back about the feud between Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. And I also told y'all that at the end of their lives, they ended up being friends. Well, one of the most important correspondences between the two of them, in my opinion, is when John Adams, later in life, I think he's like 80, sends Thomas Jefferson a letter. And in it, he says, "What do you mean when you speak of revolution? The war? That was no part of the revolution. That was a consequence of it. The revolution had been fought with pens and in the hearts of men decades before a drop of blood was ever shed." And one of the reasons I like that passage so much is because it makes it abundantly clear that the transformations that are essential to a revolution, that are critical to a revolution, don't take place on the streets, don't take place in fisticuffs, aren't about a conflict between any two sides. It's about transforming people's understanding of the.
Oh my goodness. Oh, oh, isn't that? Oh, wait. What are we doing right now? Sister was cooking. She cooked. She cooked. She ate. Left no crumbs. She cooked. She fried. She fricasseed. She basted. She baked. She broiled. And she barbecued.
The world around them. And through that transformation, fundamentally altering their relationship to the world around them because you've changed their minds. So if a lot of y'all on this app critiquing the idea of revolution or revolutionaries or talking about how ready folks are and are not for revolution or asking what the real solutions are or how we actually start the revolution or what we do to change, what becomes clear to me is that none of y'all have actually studied revolution. Because if you had, you would realize that the actual transformation, the most important transformations, are happening in this space, on this app, through our dialogue, through our exchanges with one another on other social media platforms, in what we write and talk about, and how we understand and are made to be aware, how our consciousness raises, how our knowledge expands. That is the transformation. That is the revolution. Everything else that happens, including conflicts that emerge, are a consequence of it. So for those of you who are saying y'all ain't doing nothing but just talking, y'all ain't doing nothing but just describing the problems, we know that already. What do we do now? You're missing the quintessential piece, which is that the transformation has to come by understanding and awareness and knowledge. Everything else that happens, all of the external transformations, are a consequence of that first, foremost, and most important transformation that must happen in the minds and hearts of people. That is why the discourse is so important. That is why educating is so important. You ready for action, you don't realize the action is a consequence of the mentality that must shift. So please let us cook. I told y'all in a few videos a little while back about the
Yeah. So in regards to that, this is why it is important, because the education work has to happen before the actual construction takes place. You gotta learn how to wield a hammer before you can wield the hammer. You gotta learn how to measure and cut properly before you can lay up that drywall. You gotta learn how to mix the concrete first before you start to lay the concrete down. And that's the thing. The education has to take place, because we have been educated out of our revolutionary roots, and now we have to be re-educated into our revolutionary roots by talking about the stories, why they matter, why the system is against us, right? This is why a lot of times we have to talk about these stories. This is why one of the stories I'm going to talk about really soon has to deal with the strike that's happening. This is why Nick constantly talks about geopolitics, because that also matters, because you need to know what's going on around the world in order to know what's going on at home. This is why Sabby is always talking about corruption that happens within this country, to let you know that no matter who side you go with, you're going to end up holding the bag full of doo-doo while they run out the back door with all the money. And that this is why the system is what needs to change. Not changing. You cannot change this house if it's dilapidated and you keep moving the furniture around. The house is dilapidated, baby. There's no moving around. You need to leave the house, right? And this is the thing that a lot of people aren't really getting into their head, because they keep going, well, what if we paint the walls? And what if we put new curtains on the windows? And then we're saying, no, this house needs to be condemned. You need to get out. If not, something's going to fall on top of your head and you're going to end up knocked out or dead. And so this is why we talk about capitalist as a system, as a house that we need to flee from, we need to get out of. And the only way we can do it is by doing it together. But the thing is like, a lot of you are scared because you feel like you're going into an unknown that you've never actually been to before. When in reality, humans have actually been in the territory outside of capitalism many, many times. And there are many countries that are doing it right now. And the only reason why they're not doing so well is because of the capitalist system that continuously puts their thumb on the scale against these other countries that are actually doing better. Or they could be doing better, because, if you got rid of the blockades and the sanctions and all this other stuff, then they'd probably be able to thrive. It's the system that makes you think that you should be scared of something else, because it's afraid of its own extinction. That capitalism is afraid of its own extinction. It's afraid because we're going to get a BBD, bigger, better deal. And the bigger, better deal is you owning the means of production, you being able to call the shots in government. Because everybody talks about, oh my goodness, government's the problem. No, government's not the problem. That's like saying guns kill people, when in reality, it's people that kill people. What is the tool that is being used? The government. By whom? By whom? And the thing is, it's like when you realize, well, you don't have power, so who does? It's the corporations. And what are the corporations owned by? A very small subset of people. And then guess what? They're the ones that are wielding the government. And yet they're the ones that complain about the government. And they're like, oh my God, the government's in your way. Yeah. They're tricking you. They're trying to make it seem like, well, these governments, they're the problem. Oh my God, they're still a problem. And it's like, that's like somebody eating some food and go, oh my God, this stuff is so gross. It's so horrible. I can't stand. See, it's just terrible, because they want you to think that it's terrible, even though they're eating a bowl of ice cream in front of you. But they don't want you to know that it's good. And so they'll keep eating it in front of you. But they want you to think it's disgusting. Ew, this stuff is so nasty. Because they think we're toddlers. I'm going on for the tangent. I did not mean to go on a tangent right now, but that's exactly what it is. And the problem is that the only way that government actually works is if the majority, the workers, actually hold the levers. But the thing is, the levers have been wrestled away from us, and they're in the hands of the corporations. Anywho, I went off on that, but I just wanted to, I just wanted to go off on that. But yeah. Roger says, like I told Sister Sad, be patient with people and eventually they'll come around. Even when they curse you, stay focused, show patience and grace. That is a difficult task, but is a worthy task. Because the thing is the education work takes time, because people learn at different paces. And this is why I'm trying to have more grace with people who are conservative and liberal. Hear me out. Let me put this down for a second. Conservative people, and I'm not talking about the talking heads and the pundits and stuff like that. I got smoke for them. But just your average run-of-the-mill worker that's a conservative, right? What are their concerns? Their concerns is economics. Their concerns is security and safety, right? It's just the problem is that they're so propagandized, and they think that anybody who is different than the old social order is a threat to something that they hold dear in their heart. And the issue is that a lot of conservatives, people play on their nostalgia for something simpler, something better. And back then that, things were better for them. This is why they love the phrase, make America great again, because for some of them, the America of the past was actually a simpler, better time, when in reality, it wasn't really for some people. But for some of them, it was, right? Because I liken it to how some women will say, well, men need to be men again, when in reality, the man that you nostalgically, if that's a word, and your nostalgia look back to in fond memory was actually a very damaged and broken man because of the system. He was somber and he was quiet because he was wrestling with demons, because he was forced to fight in a war of imperialism. So therefore, when he was very quiet and stoic, it was because they broke the man that he originally was. And so we're sitting here trying to go back to what we wanted back in the day, when in reality, it was actually on, it was on the backs of whom, right? It's just like when I look at people who are in France, like we'll praise Iceland, Sweden, France, England, Italy for all the things that they have as a social democracy. But the thing is, like, what is it built on? It's built on the exploitation of the people in the global south. That's why they got all that good shit, because they built it on them. And so it's like being a kid and having all the best toys in the world, but your dad was able to afford it because he's a murder for hire. And once you start to realize how you got all that good stuff, do you feel good about keeping it? Because that person actually did horrible, disgusting things in order for you to be able to have these things? Couldn't there be a better way? And then you have the liberal side. The liberal side, who do believe in sometimes believe in doing things for the marginalized, right? But then the one time when things don't go their way, they flip. They flip. Look at how many of these conservatives have actually, not conservatives, these liberals that have actually said horrible things, wishing horrible things upon immigrants, Black people, LGBTQ, those of us who support Palestine. How many of them have wished, sexual assault on us and all these horrible things? And they're liberals. And the thing is, it's like, we have to give them grace insofar as much as to help teach them that a better system is possible, and all the things that they wish for can be obtained if we put the power back in the hands of workers. The problem is that we're constantly being pitted against one another so that the divide stays, so that we don't actually fight the people who are really making our world a worse place. Does that make sense? I hope so. Anywho, Roger says, speak into the ether, put your ear to the wind, wait, listen, the ether will eventually answer back. Yes. So thanks to Chima, says, random note, did you know that Michelle Kwan, the figure skater, is the U.S. ambassador to Belize? Makes me wonder how people are chosen for these jobs. Sometimes it's really just, because they have this just notoriety. There's probably some people who are probably better for the job, who are just virtual unknowns, but that's just the way it goes. Pulling the strings, says Jaybe, is cool to put links that you will find interesting. I'm not against it. If you want, I can always check on the Rumble. So thank you very much for that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do my first segment before my guest joins. She'll be joining at the top of closer to the top of the hour. So I'll be getting into that when we talk about policing. But one of the things I want to do is I want to get into this first story here. So let me share the thumbnail, what we're going to talk about. So later in the show, we talk about public unsafety. We're talking about policing and how, we'll be talking about how it really is not for our safety, but for the safety really of property, private property. And so we'll be discussing that. But first, we'll be talking about the Black Friday strike. This is going to be a very good and interesting story to get into. I'm proud of Amazon workers. They're doing the damn thing. So I got to imitate my girl Sabs. They're doing the damn thing, right? So I saw this very recently, and I wanted to share. Make sure I get the correct one here. Jaybe, get it together. Here it is. I see it. Okay. So you guys are going to get excited about this, but this is actually a good story because I love seeing workers come together and push for things and push for worker power so that they can essentially demand what they absolutely deserve. So let's start way here. And I hope this music doesn't get a copyright. Let's go.
A wave of walkouts hit Amazon on this Black Friday.
Amazon workers are set to protest on Black Friday and Cyber Monday.
As Amazon workers at multiple locations walked off the job today,
protesting the company's work practices. Organizers say the strikes and the protests are part of a campaign called Make Amazon Pay.
Say that demonstrations were planned across 30 countries,
including France, Germany, the US,
and in Japan, Brazil.
The biggest disruption in the company's 30-year history.
Moltissimi lavoratori di Amazon stanno scioperando.
Centenares de trabajadores de Amazon en todo el mundo se fueron a la huelga.
En France, l'association Attac dénonce une journée de surproduction et de la surconsommation.
An mehreren deutschen Standorten des Online-Händlers Amazon haben Mitarbeiter ihre Arbeit niedergelegt.
Así que, como decimos, afectaría a toda la cadena de suministro.
The group is demanding that the company increase wages, pay more taxes, and reduce the company's carbon footprint.
Oh my goodness. You love to see it, don't you? So that's what's going on right now. So right now what's going on is there is Teamsters that are literally coming together. There's union members that are coming together in order to make Amazon pay for what, for not paying them livable wages. And it's about time. So let me share. Let me see. Let me share this as well. So this is from the Amazon Teamsters Instagram. So let me share this.
With our Amazon Teamsters is because the workload is overwhelming and what we do as drivers is overwhelming. Today, like for an example, I have 190 stops. We have to do 30 stops an hour. I can show you my truck right now. Of course, I'm on lunch. That's just doing 70 stops, guys. 70 stops. I have 120 left. It's about to be 4 o'clock, and just how stressful it is to be out here to try to meet that 30 stops an hour. Before it was 25. Before I started 2 years ago, it was 20. And they just keep going up and up. We all do the same thing. We all suffer through the same struggles. We all see it. Rain, snow, freaking heat, everything. Not having waters, not having a dolly to deliver the heaviest package. We bust our ass out here to get these packages delivered, especially during peak season, during the holidays. Like, we are Santa. We are the workers. We are Amazon. We're out here, doing everything we possibly can to not just deliver every package, but to make it to our last stop. And that's home. That's the most important stop. I have a family, I have a house. Everybody has bills. Everybody has their own problems. And with the union gives us those abilities to have job security, fair pay, benefits, everything that I think a normal person should really need and ask for. Join the fight. Link in the bio to join the fight. Look at it all around the world. All the Amazon drivers who are joining this fight. You guys are not alone. Believe me. The reason why I'm
So as we can see, they are gearing up and supercharging. I wanted to hear more from the workers. Let's continue on.
Amazon's greedy. The DSPs are greedy. Everybody's greedy, and I feel like we deserve a piece of the pie, Amazon workers need to have power because we are the heart and soul of this company. We're organizing the union to get treated better, for better pay, for better benefits, for resources, and everything else we need. We need you to join the fight. Click the link to sign up. Amazon's greedy.
Holiday season is here, so that just means Amazon employees are working harder. and still getting paid peanuts. My message today is for those who plan to work for this greedy giant, whether it be in the warehouse or as a driver like I myself am. 3 things that I wish I knew before I started that you should know before you start. 1, the unmanageable workload. Amazon implemented a couple years ago group stops. When you see 180 stops, that's not 180 houses. That's way more. Because at Amazon, they're going to count 4 houses in the same general area as 1 stop. Amazon is still going to expect you to do those 4 houses within 2 to 3 minutes, which is not doable. 2 is, if I knew Amazon had the highest injury rates of all out of all logistics companies, I don't think I'd be here. 3, the low pay. Sucks to say, brothers, sisters, you're going to have to choose between bills. It's hard to keep food on the table, pay rent, when we work for the richest company out there. How are you paying us so little, but working us so hard? Join us. Do what we're all doing across the country right now. We're forming our union and we're organizing. We could do this together. We could make these changes. Reach out.
Hey y'all, we just marched on the boss here at DCK6 to let management know that they have to come and start negotiating with us for a fair contract immediately. On October 2nd, we here at DCK6 in San Francisco, we let management know that we reached a majority union support through signing authorization cards. They had 2 weeks to respond and they didn't say anything. So by default now, we are Amazon Teamsters here at DCK6. I want to be able to buy a house one day. I want to be able to save for my future and have a good retirement. I want to be able to do things that this job does not allow me to do right now.
Let me ask you guys this. Is what he's demanding, is that unreasonable? Is him demanding to be able to make enough to afford a home, to start a family, to be able to get married, maybe go on a vacation here and there, to be able to afford healthy, good food, be able to have health care? Are those unreasonable demands? Because every single time a worker tries to make demands, people get mad at them and say, you're being greedy. And yet they don't look at Jeff Bezos. They don't look at Elon Musk. They don't look at Harlan Crow. They don't look at Tyler Perry. They don't look at Oprah Winfrey and say, you guys are too greedy. We always go, well, why are you counting their money? You shouldn't be able to count their money like that. They earned it. And yet you will blame people like this? You will blame those workers at McDonald's for striking? You'll blame the people, the baristas? You'll blame the people who are working at, for instance, in Charlotte Airport, like I reported on last week on my channel, how they went on strike for the biggest holiday travel season of the year because they're not making enough to be able to live. In fact, some of them are living in motels and literally getting evicted from the motels. You mean to tell me you got more smoke for them, but you ain't got no smoke for Elon Musk, Harlan Crow, Peter Thiel? You guys don't have no smoke for them? You want to kiss their ass? If they kick rocks from life tomorrow, guess what? The world still spins, honey. The world still spins. But if these guys leave tomorrow, oh, you ain't getting jack shit. Who would you rather support more? Priorities, people, priorities. And that's the problem I have, is that so many sycophants, a lot of them are on Twitter, and yes, I still call it Twitter, cry to your mama about it. The problem is some of these sycophants will cling to people like Elon Musk. They'll cling to these billionaires, including Donald Trump. I'm sorry, but Donald Trump is also one of those billionaires that people cling to. And then they will stiff workers. They will cheat workers. You have the liberal and the conservative billionaires. It don't matter. A billionaire is a billionaire. And what they'll do is they will think in their mind, oh, well, they earned it. This is the same mental rot that happened in feudalism when we believed in the divine right of kings. Oh, he's king because God says he is. Oh, they somehow earned it. More money than you could ever spend in a lifetime. It is not unreasonable at all for you to want a dignified life where you can thrive. And people somehow seem to have, and people who typically have the problem with it is the people who the system works for, because it works for them. They're good. And it can't work for everybody, because once it starts to work for everybody, that means that they don't have more than you. And they don't work hard. You mean to tell me that Elon Musk, who tweets 150,000 times a day, you think he actually works harder than you and me? Oh, ugly ass trust fund, baby. Let's continue.
And I think that's unfair because Amazon made over $17 billion in profits in the last 3 months alone. The company is worth $2 trillion. It's not fair. We deserve more. We deserve better. That's going to come through winning a union contract. And that's why we're asking Amazon to start negotiating with us and bargain with us immediately for a fair contract. Join us.
So that's ultimately a lot of what's going on right now, is that they are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And honestly, I stand with them. In fact, I wish that more employees would do a groundswell internationally just like this. I'm waiting on the Apple workers to do this. I'm waiting on Walmart workers to do this. I'm waiting for workers for Kellogg's. I'm waiting for all these different types of workers, across the nation to do this. Because the thing is, like, ultimately, it's not necessarily about building unions, because ultimately, to me, unions is a step in the right direction. And in fact, we should actually have worker ownership, like worker co-ops. But I would love for us to step in the right direction in the first place. Let's get that first step at least, right? Because what won us a lot of the things back then were the coalitions between unions, socialists, and communist organizations. And I'm just sick and tired of people getting sick and tired from the same system. So I am just excited about what's going on with these unions. I am excited for, their success. And look, if it's possible for you, I implore you to try to go with small businesses if you can, and stay away from these big corporations if you can, and just stick with them, because ultimately I think that that's what's going to help. It's going to help because you don't want to continue to keep the power within these corporations' hands. And by the way, a lot of these corporations, they're tied by private equity. They're tied by, firms like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. And so every single time, they make a little money, these corporations make money, then the private equity makes money too. So, yeah, I am excited. So let's keep your foot on your necks, so to speak. All right, so go ahead and give a like to the stream. And hopefully my guest will be back in. She came in for a second, but then she left. Okay. All right, so let me go into the chat. Let me see. Cobra Commander says the service industry is all that's left. So every job and profession that can be automated will be automated. America will be nothing more than prison labor in service industry. Essentially, sorry, so essentially it's basically continuation of chattel slavery, except for just not calling it chattel slavery. I mean, wage slavery. So ultimately, that's what I see. All Insane says totally reasonable demands. So yes, thank you very much. Pulling the string says nope, but this is how these companies get rich. Absolutely. Yep. What do you says trans people are mostly working class, as are most marginalized people. Can't get tripped up by how issues are presented in the media or by those divisive agendas. Keep your eyes on the prize. I mean, look, a trans woman that's working the counter at Macy's, makeup counter at Macy's, is not the reason why your rent is too damn high. You know, it's not. It's like, you know, it's like some drag queen that's working, you know, working and making their money, you know, is not the whole reason why, you know, Vanguard and BlackRock are, you know, taking advantage of us within these corporations. So honestly, I just do not see that. Let's go to another comment and then we'll bring in our guest for the next segment. I see you in the background, so don't worry. I'll get to you in a second. Good to have you. Anna says it's not just these drivers. Federal postal workers are suffering the same fate. Yes. In fact, postal workers do this job day in and day out, and they honestly should also be supported. Cobra Commander says, I say the LGBTQ plus should be meaner and nastier. You're kidding me? Bring back that kick your ass LGBTQ. Look, we need to get back to our revolutionary roots at Stonewall. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? We need to get back to that because, you know, you know, y'all need to learn, you know, some self-defense and all that too, because, you know, I don't trust these people. But yeah, let's get into that. Yes, Bad Wolf says, don't worship billionaires. They are not none-worthy. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. And Grapeton, unfortunately, you are correct. A lot of unions are co-opted. This is why I lean more towards worker cooperatives. But I do think they are still a slight step in the right direction. But yes, we should push for more worker power. So we'll do that. Definitely. So let me check to see if we have any super chats. And then let me check to see if we have any. Yes, we do have some tips on Rockfin. We'll get to that. And then Nich we'll get to you in a second. All right, so let me go to this, the Rockfin chat. And then I should check the Rumble for any Rumble rants. I'll do that as well. But we're good on the super chat. Wait. Hush, Jaybe. Okay. Let's go here. All right. All right. So, Dave Burt, good to see you. All right. It says they've been around a long time. I've seen a difference with Addict, but they do good stuff. Okay. Thank you very much. Addict.org was around 2001 when we first encountered it. Let me see. Dave Burt, thank you very much for the tip. Thank you very much. Yeah. And this is why, it says the New England independent booksellers separated completely from Amazon. Sorry for the many comments, but it seemed real stuff today. Stuff to say. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. And then let me check on the Rumble to see if we have any Rumble rants. We do have Rumble chats in the regular chat. Thank you very much. Okay, no Rumble rants. Okay, so Nick, we're about to get into our next segment. If you can give me a thumbs up if you are ready. All right. So just to let you guys know, I have a former police officer and trainer that will be joining me. We have Nick joining in a second. This is when we're going into our segment about public unsafety. I do want to do an introductory video as well, just so y'all know who the hell Nick is, because I think that this is a beautiful intro into what we'll be talking about here as well. So let me make sure I got, yep. Okay. So I just want to make sure I got that. And then we shall share this. Be prepared, y'all. Be prepared.
When it comes to the police, your compliance isn't enough. Your obedience isn't enough. Your respect isn't enough when you're dealing with a bullshit ass officer. I was a cop 6.5 years, and there's this thing called POP. They're like, what you taking them to jail for? Pissing off the police. I was loud and wrong for 6.5 years, and it's my obligation, my duty, and my honor to be right moving forward. So in my tenure there, I determined there was 4 different types of officers, and I stand behind this. We'll talk about 1, the tough guys. I'm heroic. I'm a tough guy because I put on a uniform. 2, the guys that were bullied and now think that the uniform make them tough guys, and they're taking out and they take out all of the years of bullying on the rest of us. Number 3, the ones who like, hey, it only takes 6 months to graduate police academy, get a pretty decent salary, get to make a lot of money in off duties. And then there's 4, the ones who really give a damn and just like, I'm being a cop because I want to make a difference. I can guarantee you that last group, I want to make a difference. That doesn't matter. There's a trillion good cops. I know so many of them, but that good does not matter being put into a bad system. So I was a good cop, good as hell, but I was putting people in a bad system, an unfair system, an unjust system for us. It's all damage. So we can continue to comply. We continue to be we can continue to be respectful, or we can turn the fuck up.
Welcome so much, Nick. It's so good to have you finally here.
Finally.
Oh my goodness. Yo, you blew my mind. I am it is such a pleasure and an honor to have you here on RBN. Welcome.
No, and it's an honor to be here. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I say so much. I had to look at that video again. Like, what was I saying? So yeah, yeah, I stand behind it, and I stand behind whoever just said with the LGBT to get a little bit more violent, because violence is the answer, y'all. Period. But yeah.
Yeah, so you said that you were an officer and a trainer for 6 years. If you can expound on that just a little bit and why you got into being a police officer initially and what helped you change your mind.
Oh man, dumbass shit, all of it. And I say that respectfully or disrespectfully, it's me that we're talking about, right? So I became a cop, and for time's sake, I'll condense the stories as much as possible. But I became a cop because of police brutality. I was 18. I'm adopted. So by my dad was a white man. He was Greek. So we don't look the same. That's important for the story. But 18 years old. My dad is a 18 wheel truck driver. He's parked in Forest and Ardelia, which is a hood in Dallas. So he stays with his truck. He accidentally takes my keys. I go up there to try to get the keys from him. When I get off the big rig, there's like 2 squad cars right there, and I'm not concerned because I haven't done anything. I get out of the squad. I get out of the car, out the big rig, and then they're like, "You're screaming to me, get on the ground." The cops are, and I'm like, "Get on the ground for what?" And remember, I'm 18, so I'm a lot more. I have a lot more to say. I'm a lot more vocal. Anyway, they slam me to the ground and say and I'm like, "This is my dad. This is my dad." They're like, "Well, that's my dad. If that's your dad, then I'm your uncle." And I'm like, "Well, I guess you're my uncle then." Anyway, they slam me on the ground, put handcuffs on me. My dad screaming in the back, "It's because you're black, Pee Wee." And I'm like, "No shit, Dad." And my mom eventually comes up there, brings my ID, and they let me go. But that was a turning point for me because I was really fuck the police at that time. Like, they didn't give me an apology. It wasn't a my bad. It was just this arrogance. Oh, we fucked up and we did all this traumatic shit. Now we're just gonna walk away. So I had hate in my heart, if you will. But if you know anything about hate, hate is heavy. I then, like, just later somehow um got back into I became a security officer, and then was brought the opportunity to be a cop, and I was like, I'd never be a cop. But then I'm thinking, I need to be the cop that I wanted to see when I was 18 at that time. I needed to be the change in the system. Like, the system's not going to change itself. So I do need to be the police. So I changed that anger, irritation I had to then get into the department. And like you said, 6 years, I was a very decorated officer, and I don't say any of these things to brag. These are matter of fact situations. Very decorated. I did a lot with those 6 years, including become a trainer. But also within those 6 years, I realized that, oh, this system is fucked up. Like, my buying school supplies for kids and hosting barbecues and going out into the community is not changing the system, and that's the whole thing there. Like, with the community engagement departments and all that, it is cute. It is cute. But it is not changing the system. The system is problematic. But as many of us as they get to put on these uniforms and play and parade around and acting like we're changing the system, the better it is for them. So at the end of the day, being good just is not good enough. Simple as that, because the system is bad. There is no the saying does not say that good apples spoil the bunch. That's not how it goes. One bad apple spoils a whole bunch. So we're talking about a whole system. What the fuck is that good officer doing? What the fuck is those donut with cops doing? What the fuck is that going to schools and going to elementaries and letting kids play in your squad car? What the fuck is that doing when those same kids, when you're later on in life, you looked at as an enemy and killed in the streets for buying Skittles? Like, cut the crap. So also I was falsely arrested for a burglary. That didn't help. They unarrested me, but still, nonetheless, I got into it because of police brutality. I got out of the police because of police brutality. That is the real story. The spiritual side of that is it was necessary because I needed to be an informant like I am now, because with everything that I learned, my community will know it, and my community will be ready. And I'm sorry if that was long-winded, so I apologize about that.
No. That was, you know what? I'll be honest with you. It needed to be long-winded because we needed to breathe that in.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it, as an abolitionist,
Mm-hmm.
I am a firm believer that, actually, you know what? Let me ask you,
Mm-hmm.
because we'll have people that talk about crime. We just got through with the election, the 2024 election. We had basically, a liberal and conservative basically talk about the same things and basically uphold the same type of systems.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to crime, do police really know what the source of crime is, or do they think it's just inherently people are just bad? like, do they actually know like what the real source of most crime is, or are they just?
That's such a good question. So never I try to stray away from speaking for the holes, right? But in my experience, I can say that only the blind cannot see. So for them to say they couldn't see, yeah, they can see. We understand they understand poverty, they understand opportunities, they understand all of that. But in a system where there is understanding but empathy isn't required, it doesn't matter if we understand, right? If we don't have to be empathetic towards it. So yes. So yes, they're not dumb. So they understand exactly why it's happening. Do they give a fuck is what the real answer is. And the answer is no, because typically empathy is not in a lot of the systems that we have in place. But the significance in this one is it should be just like with doctors, just like with lawyers. There should be a place for empathy, but we stray away from that. So they understand. Yes. Mhm. Yeah, I know. This shit is what it is, man.
Yeah, but my thing is like, what if a police officer comes in and says, "Well, we have empathy." What are you talking about? Like, how would you respond to a police officer, a random police officer that comes in and says they have empathy? Because my thing is, somebody who's empathetic would, like, for instance, let me share this article. Somebody who's empathetic wouldn't have shot a woman in the face.
Yeah, because they don't have any. If they don't have to have any empathy, when we're talking about when you're a police academy, firearms is a lot longer training than, we'll say, firearms is longer training than physical, than having to like physically fight. Firearms is a longer training than like community policing. Like firearms and physicality are more physical, and you're taught to you are instilled in your brain to make sure you go home every night. Not to make sure we go home every night. Not to make sure all of us go home every night. Not as if the person you're talking to, who you're supposed to be serving, protecting to go home. You are taught to make sure you go home every night. So when I'm seeing people get killed, it's all stems from the arrogance that you have to be a cop.
Yeah, here's a USA Today article. It says sheriff deputy who killed Sonia Massey to be released soon with conditions.
I have a video literally drafted on this. I have so much to say about it. Yeah.
I want to hear it too. But let me read the blurb a little bit. It says the state court's ruling comes out just before Grayson's scheduled court appearance on Monday. The former deputy gunned down Massey in her kitchen after she called 911 about a possible intruder. So this was Sonia Massey. And it says former sheriff deputy who gunned down Sonia Massey in her kitchen after she called 911 about a possible prowler outside of her home will be released soon with conditions. Says the state court ruling reverses the detention over former Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean P. Grayson, who has been in custody since he was charged with July 6th fatal shooting of the 36-year-old Black woman. And so, I would like to get your thoughts initially about what happened with Sonia Massey, but also this recent development about Sean Grayson being released soon.
Man, initially, Sonia Massey, very upsetting. At that time, when I still don't even think I have not watched the whole video still today. I don't have to watch it. I don't need to watch that lady get murdered. I understand exactly what happened. It was really for me the first time that it triggered in my mind, like, oh, why has his fellow colleagues not turned on him with guns? Because he's the criminal now and he's committed a crime. So so that's really where I'm at now. These people need to be held accountable, and I'm the perfect person to do it because I know what it looks like. I know exactly what it looks like, and that's why I say It's my business to inform everybody because all of us need to hold them accountable. So I have a problem with everybody who was there that night not being in jail because this man committed a crime. You all didn't do shit about it, and it's your job. We took an oath to commit to protect and serve, and you did not do that. How do I feel about him getting let out? Most of how I feel about this system is anger and rage. And it's appropriate, and it will be anger and rage until we do until we are not until we're not slaves to it, until it's not oppressing us so much. So I feel like I'm not surprised because when you are trying to hold a system accountable, you can't hold it accountable with that system. You cannot hold the justice system accountable with the justice system. And the police are the justice system. So if we feel like we're gonna get justice from the court, from the police, then get that out of your head, especially if it's a white officer. If it's a if you're black or Mexican or Asian or anybody else, of course you'll get some justice because yeah, you're a cop, but you're also black. Yeah, you're a cop, but you're also Asian. Yeah, you're a cop, but you're also Indian. When you're white, this is a white person's world. So yeah, you get to kind of just do what the fuck you want to do, and here are the results of that. Hence the president being a fucking felon. These are the results of that. So when I look at that, for me, it is confirmation that we have to do something different. If we want something to happen to him, we got to do it. That's genuinely how I feel.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think about, because a lot of times we don't regard this, and I want to get your thoughts on this. We talk about violence, a lot of times people talk about violent crime, and they'll talk about the violent crime done by citizens, but they never talk about the violent crime done by institutions. And one of the things I always talk about, and let me know your thoughts about this, the violence of being unhoused, the violence of not having adequate health care, the violence of living in food deserts. These are violent acts that is done by a system that perpetuates this violence in order to hold us, in a sense, at gunpoint. That if we don't allow ourselves to be exploited by these corporations, then we're going to end up just like those people out on the street. And to me, that is a very violent act. And to resist that by doing mutual aid on the ground and protecting ourselves and our communities away against these people is really the best form of resistance that we can do. What do you say on that?
No, I agree. Like you said, it's in every corporation, in every large corporation. We have to. I think it's just important that we keep our eye on the prize and not get caught up in the propaganda. Like you said, all of that is violent. It's violence is not just punching people in the face or shooting people with guns. All of that is violent. Especially, and then you have these Christian values that they want to throw in as well. In terms in their mind, Christian values looks like, well, no gay shit, no equality, all of this other stuff. When love is a Christian value, so when you take away, when you start trying to control the narrative with key points like violence and homelessness and poverty without any more context, then that itself is violent, right? That itself is harmful. So I believe that they're going to continue to talk how they talk, but it's on us to interpret that how we need to interpret it and change the narrative and do something about it because it is harmful in every system.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about the politicians, especially, who are now trying to perpetuate this? We need, more law and order. And a lot of times people will attribute that to Trump, but I also see somebody like a Kamala Harris who is perpetuating that as well. You have President Joe Biden, who actually signed the 94 crime bill, which also increased mass incarceration to the point where we now have the largest prison population on earth, where 5%, we're only, I think it's 5% of the population, but we have 25% of all the prison population on the planet. And so what are your thoughts? Like, if you can speak to any one of these politicians who perpetuate this law and order type of policy positions, what would you say?
I would say start in the house. How about you get law and order within that? Because right now when they're speaking of law and order, they're looking at the civilization as a thing, and then they're looking at themselves as a thing. I need them to look at themselves in terms of law and order as well. The crime, if crime is being committed in the place where the law and order is supposed to take place, then before you can start holding me accountable, you have to hold yourself accountable. So I'm not one of those people is as much disdain as I have for law enforcement and as a whole, police, the judicial system, all of that, I'm also not one of those ones who feel like it should just be simply abolished. And the reason being is because there's like rapists and serial killers. There has to be some place for those people to go. But I also don't agree that somebody who raped or killed a million people should be sitting in a cell with the same punishment as somebody who sold some weed. I think that that's outrageous. So when I'm thinking of law and order, I just think that I agree with the concept, but I don't agree with its execution at all. Anything that we're doing right now, I don't think we have. As of right now, I would say we have no law and order. So that concept is great, but it has to be revisited literally as the concept, not as we don't need to even go in and redo this entity. No, this entity has to be taken down. It really is. It is time. It is really genuinely time for a revolution. Go ahead.
So as far as the calls for defunding the police, do you think that is going too far or far enough, or should we go farther?
Oh no, we should go further because we have to eliminate structures in order to rebuild them. Like I think that we're past the renovation stage. Houses you can't renovate something when the mold is on the foundation. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. There's mold in the foundation. So we gotta really rip this bitch up and start again. So yeah, I feel like we have to continue to go. A good example of this is Camden Police Department. Camden Police Department, can't remember the city right now, but there was a small department and they literally shut down the police department one day. Like it was they were too corrupt within the officers. The new chief came in and said, we gotta everybody is fired and you gotta reapply. So a lot of people didn't reapply, right? Some people did. They started the police department again, and 90% of it was 90% of what they had to do was in community. Like they had to be out of their cars, walking around in community. And the crime rate went from 90% to like under 20% because the police were doing exactly what police are supposed to do, which is going to being a part of the community and not being a bully to the community. So I mean, I think that I do believe the idea and structures will work, just not how they are now, not these structures. But the idea, yeah, we need to law and order is fine, but we can't. I feel like this system's too far gone for us to just really. We don't have time to vote our shit. We don't have time to do the shit the legal way, like vote ourselves out and do this and then lobby this and blah. We don't have that type of time. Sonya Massey didn't have that type of time. You know what I'm saying? When we're getting killed in the streets, we don't have that type of time. And I really need us to get that in our mind. Like we are getting killed in the streets. What are we gonna do about it? Not who are we gonna call? Not who are we? What judge are we gonna go beg in front of? What are we gonna do about it? We have to be responsible for ourselves, and I think the world has taught us that.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, let me share this as well. This is an article because a lot of times when I think about the crime that happens, crime typically happens because of lack of opportunity and increased desperation. Increased desperation could be things like being unhoused. Like police are constantly being used to move unhoused people. And here's a Forbes article. It says 16 million homes are lying empty in these states are their vacancy hotspots. Why do we have this many unhoused people, which the police are used in order to move or in order to arrest, when in reality we could just house them? And people are like, it's not that simple. I'm like,
yes, it is.
It is that simple.
I hate when people have decided to allow this red tape that was created to discourage them. Like whatever every system we have was created. All of them. There's no systems that we didn't have that were literally created. So if that shit was created, uncreate the shit. Like that shit didn't work out. Like we don't have to if we don't have to uncreate it step by step how it was created. Like no, go back to the fucking drawing board. But we have even some of us who are just like, well, it's not that simple. Yes, the fuck it is. There's an open building. Yes, it is. There's people who throw the food away. These restaurants throw food away every night. Yes, there is. The solution is with right here. But in these same Christian values, agree with throwing the food away because that's the rules and the laws, as if the laws weren't made up. Do you understand what I'm saying, James? This shit does not this shit is made up. I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck what the laws say. If you know that is wrong, the laws used to say that we were slaves. So who gives a fuck about the laws? The laws used to say that we would get hung if we talked to a white person. So fuck those. We are still going by these laws. I don't give a fuck about the law. I give a fuck about what's right and wrong. And until we decide to do what is right, despite what they say, because we know that it is wrong to throw away food when people are hungry. We know that is wrong, but we have now said, well, they said it was the right thing to do, so we're going to do it. That's dumb. That's dumb.
You know what, Nick? Let me say this. I'm gonna let my nerdy side come in for a second. Can you indulge me for a second? But I don't know if you ever saw Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, yeah.
Remember that part where they're in front of Chancellor Palpatine, and Mace Windu says he has control of the Senate and the courts. He's too dangerous to be left alive. I say the same thing about the system. They have control of the Senate and the courts. It's too dangerous to be left alive. And so this is why when I look at, when people try to make excuses for keeping the system in place, I'm like, there's too many people dying. There's too many people.
It's not enough of them. It's not enough of them. There's not enough of them dying, so they don't give a damn. Us dying ain't never mattered. It ain't never mattered. Our blood paves the streets. That does not matter. That's what we have to get. I'm a minister now, right? And my whole thing is love. All I care about is love. But in order to get to love, it's gonna take something that looks hateful, and it's not that. It's about protection, and it's about getting these people to. Oh, we can't. The only way they're gonna care is if they're affected by it. And I'm sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead.
No. Love is also self-defensive.
It would be love is supposed to be found in the church. They shot the church up though, right? So now within church, got to be able to be prepared to defend love. These people you have to be prepared. We have to just start defending ourselves and stop waiting for them to defend us and knowing better. Knowing that they won't. No part of history has suggested that they're like, oh, they really give a damn about us and want us to succeed.
Yeah.
And we've learned that voting is temporary. They unvote some shit real quick. We vote some stuff. Woo! That shit so I don't know what more we need. What more we need. I don't like if me voting for it only gonna last for 4 years, then fuck that. Then that's not the solution. I need permanent. And permanent looks like we on t-shirts, y'all on t-shirts.
Yeah, because it is very true. Because, like, for instance, here in Florida, I'm in Florida. Yeah, go ahead.
But
moment of silence for me. All right, let's go. So here in Florida, we actually voted to give voting rights back to former felons, and then the state government was like, "Oh no, we're not having that." So they placed financial barriers in front of former felons so that it would make them harder for them to vote again. And so this goes back to I love that word, unvote, that we put in, that they did, is they did an Uno reverse. And it's like, even when we try to push direct democracy from the people, they're just like, no, you guys can't have this. And it's like, who are you to tell us that what we can't have? If we want true, actual healthcare for all, then damn it, then that's what we want. You're supposed to be our employee, but yet you deny us when we make a demand for something that we want. And so, every single time, people will say, all we need to do is just vote. And I'm like, that's a very tiny, tiny piece. I'm like, no, we need to do actions out in the streets. We need to get to our people and start protecting them. And I, try to consider myself a student of the Black Panther Party, where we actually did the work on the ground. And it wasn't just the work of protecting, the people in the streets, they're strapped and they're trying to protect, from the police, but also trying to protect against hunger, housing, and being unhoused, food insecurity, medical, all these different things, which we, are now calling mutual aid. That's also a means of public safety. And the thing is, it's like, they're not focused on public safety. Well, they are focused on public safety, but for a very small few.
Correct. And the thing is, it's our compliance and our allowance. It's and people don't want to accept that. But it is what it is. When people the concept of taking my rights away, who am I to let you? They're mine. You know what I'm saying? They're my rights. These are my rights and my freedoms. One thing that I have to combat often in ministry is, hey, I'm not defending the Bible ever. Like, it's a book, no problem. But when people are like, well, where was God that did slavery? The guy I know was somewhere wondering what the fuck we were doing. Wondering why the fuck why won't these niggas get off their knees and fight? Why are they not all Nate Turner? In a time when there should have been a civil war, there was 400 years of slavery. And that is what Project 2025 right now is in our face. And we sit and we watch it and we talk about it. And if our job, and if we are still continuing, and if our solution is still to continue to, well, what legislation do we need to, who do we need to lobby? If that's still a solution, then in slavery we go again. Like, we have to do something. We have to be radical, and that is out of necessity, not because I want that. I want peace. I want peace and love. I want us all to I want everybody to eat. I want everybody to be housed. I want life to just be simple. They won't allow it to just be that simple, though. We have to make it that simple. So with somebody, it's the arrogance and control, right? These are your rights. I'm gonna take them away. Why would they be so comfortable to do so unless we're allowing them to be so comfortable to do so? They're so comfortable because they know that there's no consequences. They know we're not gonna do shit about it. They know we're gonna turn the other cheek because they taught us to pray for our enemies. They taught us that. They taught us this concept. They taught us obedience was better than sacrifice because they wanted to maintain and keep us. We have to know better.
Yeah. Man born of woman is, glutted with education. Let me share this as well. This is Police Scorecard. I'm not sure if you're aware of this website. You're probably aware of all of them.
I'm not, actually.
But this is great. It talks about what police have done. It says 9,911 killings by police based on population. Black person was 2.7 times as likely, and a Latina person was 1.6 times as likely to be killed by police as a white person in America from 2013 to 2021. It says 287,048 civilian complaints of police misconduct. And then it says 73,301,318 arrests made. Police in America are 12 times as many arrests for low-level offenses as for violent crimes in 2013 to 2021. And so it talks about some of the the police funding as well. It says DC Metro Police, $921 per resident. And then next after that is Baltimore. Of course, it's Baltimore.
It's Baltimore. Where's Dallas? Is Dallas on the list? I can't really see.
Let me see if I can enlarge this. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I should have put this on my computer.
No, it's all good. So
yeah, I see.
So I'm in Orlando. We're actually one of the highest fundings for police
Yeah.
in the country. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oakland, California, San Francisco, St. Louis, Miami-Dade, Chicago, and then New York City. So
I'm
you
not
can
surprised by
actually,
this list, actually. It's disappointing nonetheless, but I'm not surprised by it.
yeah, yeah. This is Orlando Police Department. Yeah, $620 per resident. And this is just the Orlando Police Department. It's not talking about the Orange County Sheriff's Office. So it just shows like these are some really good sites. Another good site that I would like to share is also having to deal with the police as well. And then once we get to this, I also want to get to some tactics and solutions to help our fellow people. But I also want to share, mapping police violence. This is also a really good site as well. It talks about the police violence that happens. It says police have killed 1,101 people in 2024.
1,100 people. I wonder how many of them were unarmed. Does it do a breakdown like that?
Let me see. Well, you can actually download full database.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah,
I'll send me these links, please, when we get up.
Yeah, I'll put it in the private chat, and then I'll
Okay.
also put it in the public chat for people to see, so that you can actually get this information. But these resources are phenomenal because a lot of times you'll get some people who want to defend the police up and down, but then once you give them the actual data, the data is actually against police. It says police killed at least 1,248 people in 2023. Black people were 27% of those killed by police in 2023, despite only being 13% of the population. So my thing is like to people who go, 27% of those killed. If a white person tells me, oh, it's only 27%, I go, well, I guess then you are okay with all these white people that were murdered by police too.
Yeah,
Especially
and they say numbers don't lie, but I mean, statistics are statistics. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're looking at those, when you hear those numbers, it's like, oh, that's not that bad. Until, like you just said, you realize we're only 15% of the population. Like this is why it's this bad. Or putting it in perspective, like you said. Well, are you cool with the white people being killed then? And you always have to put it back on their doorstep because they're not going to give a damn about us, and they've proven that.
Yeah. And I always say that, look at Black Americans, look at us and see that we are the canaries in the coal mine, because if they're going to do it to us, that means they're going to do it to you. And they're doing it to white people now. And a lot of white people are now starting to wake up because there are white people who are being killed unarmed. There are a lot of, people who are disabled or neurodivergent that are also being murdered left and right. I talked about the Norris Richardson, who is a disabled Black man that was found dead. And the police tried to say, well, maybe he just committed, self-harm. I got to be careful what I say. Maybe he committed self-harm. And it's like, no, why would a Black man decide to hang himself in the South?
They just keep playing in our face, man. They play in our face with that bullshit. The hanging. It's been so many hangings. It's been at least 3 hangings that I can think of. I wish I would do the names. RIP to all of those. But it's just like it's that blatant disrespect, because guess what? They know they can count on us not doing a damn thing about it. They can count on that.
Yeah. And so, there's many white people who watch our channel as well, who also are sick and tired of seeing the police. And, one of the things that I also wanted to ask you really quick about first was, in regards to ending qualified immunity, Do you think that's a worthy fight to get into? Ending qualified immunity?
Man, I mean, I'm concerned about it. I'll say that I just don't know what the fight would look like. I think it is worth us. I think it's something we need to be aware of and we need to be cautious of. I can't lie and say that I have even an attempt of a solution on how we could combat that. It
Yeah.
is extremely concerning.
Yeah. Because I'm because there's the Ohio Center for Ending Qualified Immunity, and I've had conversations with them before, and they're working on doing a direct ballot initiative that would end qualified immunity, which means that it's direct democracy that people would actually vote for ending qualified immunity for. It's not just police officers, but it's all public servants. It includes, the district attorneys, the attorney generals, everybody. And this would make it more dangerous for police to act out of line. I say throw everything at the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah, I concur.
I think that it's like, look, if that's what you guys going to do, all right, cool. I support you guys in doing that, while we're also trying to defund, this police as well. And this is also part of the fight as to why so many people are against Israel, because the IDF actually trains a lot of the police in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to, take down the Zionist occupation, then that also would, depress some of, what police are doing as well, because they're not being able to train their tactics on the Palestinian people. And then next thing you know, use it on us.
Yeah.
And so,
I agree with doing everything we can. I just don't ever want us to, if it doesn't go how we want it to go, then we can't stop there, because we just talked about how we voting things how that this doesn't take us as far as we need to go. And I don't want it to be a situation that it doesn't go our way and now we're discouraged and now we feel like, well, but now what, in terms of what else can we do within the system. What I'm saying is it's only so much that we can do within the system to change the system, because the system's going to protect itself.
Yeah.
Whatever we come up with, they're going to protect themselves. So we have to be able to come in at it out. We have to be able to come into the system abruptly and aggressively a different way, and not within it. I understand we need to have a seat at the table and all that, but we also have to start looking at the concepts of flipping these fucking tables over. There is no tables. Now what?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to share this as well, because to all the white viewers, I want you guys to be just as sick and tired of this as we are. This is what Ben Crump actually tweeted out, I think about a day ago. He said, "Today we send our love to the family of Hunter Britton on that would have been his 21st birthday. Tragically, he was shot and killed by an Arkansas sheriff deputy in 2021 while unarmed. No one deserves to lose their life at the hands of police. Rest in power, Hunter." So this is a young white boy, really, that was murdered by police, unarmed. And so there are others. There was, I'm blanking on the name. There was also a young white man that they kneeled on his neck, just like they did George Floyd, and they killed him.
Yeah. No, I can't remember the name either, but I heard that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And sorry, but
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, why wasn't you guys in the streets as well for this young white man that was, they kneeled on his neck for, I think it was like somewhere around 12 minutes before he died.
Sometimes other communities justify the police just off the terms of they're the police. Like they trust that the police just did what they had to do in the situations. And I'm not saying that is what happened. I'm saying that when we're looking for outrage, sometimes that's why there isn't any, because they're just like, well, no, what there's somebody still wondering, well, what did Hunter do? Whatever Hunter did he shouldn't have been killed for if he wasn't if he wasn't actively hurting anybody. So I think that part of the harm of policing right now is that there's still, especially people who have never had to go through anything bad with them, still believe that, hey, these are the good guys and they're doing what's right. So if they did it, then it has to be right. And we just all have to just start questioning that. Like, no, these are human beings we're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, Human beings with a great responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about questioning authority all the time, but yet we don't want to question the police.
That's the same,
You
but it's
know?
also this like religions tell you don't question God. Well, who else am I ask? Like I'm going to the source of the goddamn. Cause like, why would I ask you? Why would I ask anything else except the source?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that when since the concepts of policing are still positive to a lot of people, then they're not going to go out and storm against them because overall they're just like, well, I mean, they're risking their lives, they're hero. I'm like, you signed up to do some scary shit, man. Like when I got into situations when they're like, that's so courageous. I'm like, is it like I signed, like literally signed up to do this? I didn't have to do this. I signed up to do it. So now I'm supposed to get an award for doing my fucking job. I think it's crazy, but it happens all the time.
Yeah. And one of the things I wanted to ask is, what are some of the, if you can give the audience some tips on the best practices when dealing with police, especially because unfortunately it seems like we're more trained to de-escalate than they are for some odd reason. But what is some of the best practices you could give to the citizens so that either we can avoid them altogether, or if we have to encounter them, what are some things that we can do in order to keep ourselves safe and combat them in a way that doesn't blow back on ourselves?
Yeah, great question. Number one, I would say education. Just try to know what they know. I'm gonna do a better job on my end at teaching more of what they know because in order to combat anything, you have to know what it is that you're dealing with. Uh Number two, I say rely on them less and call them less. And some people say, well, how do we go about that? It's not like the cops come and make things better often. So try to contain the situations as much as you can. Remember that your life is on the line. If you can remember your life is on the line when you're trying to contain some situations, then that could possibly help you calm down more. And then of course, three, when you're gonna have to encounter them, to remember that the traffic stop or the detention, the argument doesn't have to stop there. I hate to get on here and tell people to comply, but I do want them to be able to go home and fight another day. So even if you are right, you are right. It's not the time to argue out there on the street or where it's happening at because they then can articulate that they were in fear for their life and kill you. So as much as it's wrong, as much as it is as fucked up as it is to tell you to just go with what they're saying and to make sure you get out, that is what I'll do. But I'll say when you get out to do something about it. But continue to push. If a cop has done something to you, continue to write in about it, continue to make a deal about it, continue to call about them every day, and just become annoying, if you will. Because what happens often when anybody is trying to go against them is they just have more time and energy. You the individual, you just get fed up. Like I don't want. I'm tired. I'll just let them make it. I'll just let them make it. We cannot just let them make it. We have to just keep going. So if they do something, do everything you can to get them held accountable and don't give up.
Yeah. I also thank you very much for that. I do have a question, one more about, because a lot of our elders typically get anxious when we talk about defunding the police and changing public safety as we know it.
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of them are concerned with the safety of the community.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that concern is misplaced? And how do we combat that, especially with older folks who they're not as radically minded as you or I? How do we help them to understand that it needs to change?
I think it goes back to what you said earlier about the Black Panther Party and those concepts. Because we do need something. That's why I can't say just completely get rid of them, because we can't get rid of them without replacing them with something, because people do need something, somewhere to be safe. But with those elderly, I would encourage them to um use their voices as well, in terms of, hey, police, the reason why this is happening, why we're not comfortable calling you, is because you all are criminals as well. Like, just being able, getting them to understand, it's not law, it's not that we want to lack law and order as a community. We would love law and order. It's just that the people that are responsible for law and order or are the criminals. So so it's not that we're trying to, nobody wants and anyone to go out to their cars at night and not feel safe. And we also can understand that there are bad people of all colors, all genders, all races, all ages. So we're all on the same page there. Just getting them to understand, like, hey, we're with you. We are with you. They're just not with us. So um and another thing I would say is go to your city hall meetings and use your 2 minutes that you get to speak. And once again, just be annoying. It does take time. It does take energy, but until we are able to rebrand the system completely, the best way to combat it is to let them know that we see you. They don't feel they think that they are doing a good job at hiding behind good. No, the bad is overwhelming.
That's true. That's true. I want to share this with you before you head on out. There is this. Well, the site I don't see up anymore, but thankfully there is an Instagram page. I'm not sure if you ever heard of 10 for Justice.
I have heard it.
Yeah, one of my comrades here on RBN is actually one of the co-founders for 10 for Justice.
Okay.
So they're talking about 10 for Justice, and they talk about the different demands. Here's some of the founders here. Zoya, also, who works for RBN, is part of it. And then you have Awkward, who's a rapper, and then An.
Of alternative mechanisms for holding people truly accountable as human beings. So instead of locking someone in a cage, forgetting about them, and just using them to work 8 cents an hour for the profit of corporations, they're engaged in mediation, transformative justice, community service, so that the victim and the perpetrator, who's most likely been a victim themselves, are all healed by the process. And so these are the kinds of things that we need to build starting today over time as we're defunding police down to zero. So defunding is critical, but it is also one half of step one. As you mentioned, it's not just taking money away from police departments. It is more involved in that. It's defunding all aspects of the police. No new prisons being built, no new material investments, getting rid of the PR departments overnight, ending police unions and foundations. And as we're doing that, all the billions and trillions of dollars that are going into over-policing criminalized communities and enabling police brutality and mass incarceration, we are taking those tremendous amount of funds and putting them into the most impacted communities, investing in mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, education, jobs training, reentry services for formerly incarcerated people, and all of these things that would start to build this alternative society that we envision so that when we're there, we really won't need cops in cages. It's a
So it goes from the first step basically to the 10th step. One of the interesting parts, one of the steps is actually also reparations for those of us who are descendants of slaves in this country. And so they take a lot of their direction from people like Angela Davis as well. And so I highly recommend a lot of people to also go to this Instagram page. I'm going to check and see what's going on with the website, because for some reason the website is not up. I think somebody took the domain and now it's a law firm, something like that. So, but yeah, but I
love it.
Yeah, but it's a really good program that I highly recommend anybody to look into, especially because 10 Demands is great, especially when you want to actually have better public safety in regards to something that's best for just all of us. I'll put that also in the private chat as well. But just want to get your initial thoughts.
I love the ideas and concepts. When I was listening to it, it just had me thinking about the current system we have set up for criminals and things of that sort. Like, if jails were really rehabs, then they would be doing some of those things that he spoke about already. If jails were really rehabs, when people got out, then they would be welcome with open arms into the society, because you've just been rehabilitated. But instead, they're putting the halfway houses and criminalize some more. So it's those little concepts that even right now, if we can incorporate some of that into our current systems while we're working on changing them, then that would be a beautiful thing. But that would require a lot of people saying, a lot of people, and more than just black, more than just minority, because our voices just don't carry enough weight. It would take a lot of us to say, like, hey, how you all are handling shit, we don't agree. And it would take once again, it really does take revolution. I'm not saying that lightly. I'm not saying that to be cute. I hate it. I hate what all that has to happen to be able to just get normal, regular rights and justice and be able to walk outside safely. I had to drive through somewhere, a Trump city at night the other day, and I was thinking as I was driving through, how I'm not scared of the dark. I'm not scared of the dark. That's not what my problem. I'm scared of what happens to people like me that happens in the dark. So until we get till we have those types of uncomfortable conversations out loud in big spaces, then all of our little initiatives, and I say little initiative, they're gonna be just that, because people don't think that it affects them. When literally public safety, us feeling like that affects all of us.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you have time for just one more question?
I do. We're good.
What are you hopeful for?
Man, I am hopeful that the good starts running shit. Like, I don't think that we can ever eliminate the bad. That bad exists, evil exists, but I am hopeful that the overall good starts being the ones in control. Because right now it's not good that's in control. Right now,
Yeah.
good is compliant. Good is compliant with evil because evil's in control. So I hope that we all understand that unity does mean something. Our voices do mean something, and our voices together turn into a choir. So what sounds like a whisper when you're doing it, together sounds like a megaphone. So I hope that we take our power back and realize that we are in control. There is more of us than there is the system. We are the majority in the fight, and if we really own that and do something with it, even though it's scary, it's gonna be, and it is scary. But guess what? Hunter died anyway. He didn't do shit. You know what I'm saying? He didn't do anything, and shit was still scary for him. Trayvon Martin didn't do anything. He died anyway. So what I'm saying is, we have to do what it takes and understand that yeah, some of us might get hurt about it, but it's for at least our being hurt will be for a bigger cause, and we won't just be another name on a list of people who got harmed.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. And Nick, can you tell everybody where they can find you and what you got coming up next, what types of projects you're doing?
Yeah, you guys can always find me on TikTok or Instagram is _loud_whisper or Nich Tsalikis NICH. And what I'm working on now is a volunteer group, Communities Build Character, where we'll just go into the communities and give them what they need. Recently, at the sometime around February, I'm gonna be start taking donations to give to the homeless, give them tents and things of that sort. Because we can't afford homes right now, but we can still give shelter. And I encourage everybody to do what you can. I know we all have a large goal of what we want to do. Man, if I had some money, I would do this, and if I got this, I'd do that. Think about all the things that you do have and do something with that, because even if you don't feel like you have a lot, remember you have so much more than somebody else in there, and that will make a change, and that will be something.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. It was an honor and a privilege to have you on, to have such a revolutionary voice, to join us and be able to give and impart some knowledge so that we are able to better protect ourselves and stay safer in this world. Look, you may not be a law enforcement officer anymore in that sense, but you are still protecting and saving lives.
You know what, James? I appreciate it. You know, I have looked forward to speaking with you for weeks now, and I believe I love what you're doing. I love this space that you've created. It's such a big deal. It doesn't matter how many people, how many views that you have. Know that what you're doing is a big deal, and it matters, because there's so many other people not doing shit, not doing a damn thing. But you are using what you do have and doing something with it. So anytime that I can help, anything that I can do to help your movement, join your movement, I am more than happy to. And it, like you said, it was an honor and it is a blessing. I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much, Nick. You have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll text you later.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. So that was a great conversation. That's the conversation I've been wanting to have. That was the conversation I needed. So if you guys have not, go ahead and give a like to the stream. Thank you so very much again to Nick for joining me. Yeah, so you heard it from a former police officer about what needs to be done and about the system. So what do you guys think about what was said? I'm going to go to some of the comments in the chat. Let me go to Rockfin first. I know there's some things that have been said, and I cannot wait to get to it. Let me see here. Wait, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Hang on. I could have swore. Yeah, it's still here. What in the hell? Sorry, guys. I'm looking for the... Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. So, let me see. So thank you, Roger Meadows. He says, establish an infrastructure that allows for work to birth grow in Philippines. We're going to have to focus on running CBI amendments where we can, that would help with that process left. Establish an infrastructure that allows for worker cooperatives to birth, grow, and proliferate. We're going to have to focus on running CBI amendments where we can help that process. Okay. Someone mentioned in the YouTube chat doom and gloom about how we're destined to a life of prison and automation. And I keep saying, when the workers own it, they get to determine how much they want to automate. Allow the governor to reissue a co-op charters in the event of when the attorney general gives the corporate death penalty to corporation through enforcement of the 2015 Model Corporate Charter Revocation Act. Due to established record of egregious behavior, the governor will then have the authority to transfer ownership of the company to the workers, consumer, or community by reissuing out a cooperative charter in its place, thus restructuring the former corporation into a cooperative. This type of co-op will depend on who was injured the most. So where the Secretary of State is in charge of issuing corporate charters, the state attorney general will be in charge of taking it away and allowing the option for the workers to apply for a co-op charter, one that will give them the stakeholder ownership of the company, converting it into a co-op. The government will be mandated to provide grants and low-interest loans to help with the purchase. If the company already has gone public, provide a vehicle that would allow the shareholders to sell it to the workers. Also, if the workers are not yet ready to take it over, then the government will own it and operate it until the workers are ready to have finished paying back the loan lent to it by the government to purchase it. He continues, says, it's through worker co-ops how we will stop manufacturing elsewhere and do it here in America. You give them two choices. Either give you what you're asking for as a union or hand it over your entire goddamn company. Oh, you want to pick up and move? I got your ass. CBI right of first offer amendment once a company grows beyond a certain threshold, or if it already has, or before they file for bankruptcy, or before they go public, or if it already has. Says they are mandated to take an offer to their workers who will help government grants and loans to purchase the company, employing the co-op business administration to help with the transition process. Should workers not wish to own the company, then the company must include a severance package with a paycheck equal to what they would have made in a year if it is national or global company. 6 months if it's a mid-sized company, 3 months for small company. And when it comes to franchise ownership, have it where before corporate makes an offer to manager or franchise the business, offer that same option to workers first to make it a franchise worker co-op. Also allow workers as a group to cooperate themselves and apply for worker cooperative franchise ownership. Let's stop with the doom and gloom about what corporations will do and get on board and on code. Stop waiting for someone else to do it, especially the middleman politician, and run those 2026 Citizen Ballot Initiative amendments. Thank you to Jenny Tufnell for the tip. Says, my God, Nick is amazing. Talk about simply speaking truth to power. What a great educator. Keep it up, Nick. Thank you very much. Anna says, we also had to get together in real life and raise our frequency, not just to protest, but to build community. Isolation breeds despair and mental illness. Agreed, Anna. Roger says, community policing with independent community and ethics review board where members are voted on by the community. No revolving door between board and police. You can be one, but never the other. That's also a really good point. I actually like that. Roger says, just like how RBN used to play Kwame and Malcolm clips every chance you got, it's time RBN start boosting Powell. Not the bad Powell, but the good Powell. Play every chance you get from first black congressman. Oh, yeah. I remember you sharing this with me. Yeah, I played that before. Thank you very much for that as well. And says, stop waiting for a politician or some base person to do it for you. The leader you're looking for is not your electronic display screen. They're in the mirror. Put the community in the mirror with you. Yeah. And the thing is, like, that's what one of the things that we try to make it abundantly clear, is that sometimes some people will look even to those of us in independent media to be the leaders. And it's like, no, we can be the teachers. We can be the people who amplify the message of the leaders, but we're not the leaders. Nobody in independent media should be the ones that lead the movement. We're just the spokespeople. We're not the actual leader. And the thing is, it's like, if you're looking for people in independent media to lead you, that means you're looking for a messiah. There is no messiah. You have to collectively see, that's part of the individualistic guise, the specter that capitalism puts. Well, you need one person to lead all of you in order to make it out of here. No, you need all of you collectively, because capitalism depends on individualism. And even in our liberation, capitalism will tell you, oh, you only need just one person. When in reality, no, we got to get that capitalist brain, that mindset out of here. There will be not one person. It needs to be a collective effort. Look at the revolutions that have happened in other countries around the world. It was never by one person. It was always by a collective. And the thing is like, that's how we do it, is through collective action. That's how we do it. And so, yeah, I definitely agree with you, Roger. Appreciate it. Let me go into the rest of the chat. Yes. Ijani says, well-funded, educated communities rarely need police. True. Very true. Kat Terrell says, in all my years, I have only been manhandled by a cop while being arrested one time because I was out of rage, full control. Yeah. Raziel the Great. I haven't seen you in a while, Raziel. Good to see you. Says, I moved to the rural parts of New Hampshire. I've driven in small towns where the police force is literally like 10 people covering a 55-mile radius, zero crime. Says they are mostly relegated to traffic duty because there is no poor folks for miles around. Wild shit. Yep. Island Vibe says it's not just race. They rarely harass a well-dressed black man in a nice car. They'll harass poor people or people who appear to not have the means to fight the charge in court. What is a well-dressed black man in a nice car? You know, it's race and class. They're both linked. You know. Let me see. Let me get to people who haven't got this. Y'all are having a whole conversation. Let me see. Not a pacifist says, that's why I direct people to the Innocence Project. Mind-blowing stuff. Pretty uninitiated. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are, you know, incarcerated, who really either don't need to be incarcerated, or like a lot of these laws are built just to place poor people or working poor people in chains. That's the whole reason for it. It's just like loitering and other laws were created just so that they can put Black people back into chattel slavery by means of prison. So if you didn't have a job, so if you were loitering just, you know, with no job, they were able to put you back in prison. Oh. All right, it says, forgive me for the book I wrote in Rockfin. Yeah, I know you got a lot to say, but it's good stuff. Tim Price, part of the Orlando chapter on RBN, says, great stream, great guest. Thank you so very much. I got a diamond, didn't I? Let me see. Cobra Commander says doom and gloom is not just a reality. Very much like when the printing press was invented, the technology is here and will be used. So communism needs to adapt by reaching service workers. Let me see. Charles J says Baltimore just increased its police budget. Of course they have. That's what they do. Paul says Jaybe is sending love and solidarity from Mexico City. Love and solidarity to you as well. Mi hermano. Appreciate it. Is there any super chats that I missed? I know I got one. Just trying to make sure I get that too before I head on out, because I don't want to miss out on anybody. Okay, I guess we're good. Thank you very much. All right, so for my channel this Tuesday, Jason Call, who was the campaign manager for Dr. Jill Stein, will be joining me on my channel. So if you guys would like to, you guys can tune into that. And then Thursday, we will be doing the RBM Roundtable. And so it's going to be also with Dr. CBS will be joining RBN, and this will be my first time meeting her. So this is going to be great. Can't wait to have that conversation. Also, just to let you guys know, I will be continuing the readings this week. On my channel, I do read books and discuss the contents as well. So I had just recently did another reading of Water in the Spirit by Melodoma Patrice Some. That was very good. So if you guys want to, you guys can get into that. I also read, some of you guys caught earlier this morning that I put out the reading for The Will to Change by Bell Hooks. Oop, the glare. The Will to Change by Bell Hooks. So I do the reading there. And then also Prejudicial by friend to the channel, Margaret Kimberly. So I also did that reading as well. So if you guys would like to, you guys can always go to my channel. You guys just go to the playlist and you guys can actually, listen to me read as well as discuss the contents within these books and apply it to today. It was a really good time to be able to read those. So I think I'm halfway through The Will to Change, as crazy as it sounds, which I'm very happy about. Also, what was I going to say? I'm trying to think. I think I had something else. Oh, and by the way, just to let you guys know, one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to also raise money for Orlando Mutual Aid chapter. So we're trying to raise money so that we can do another mutual aid action during the winter time. So I would like to see if we can try something in January or in February, probably most likely February. It'll still be cold. And so I would like to do something for our neighbors. And so if you guys would like to, you guys can actually donate, if you guys would like to our Cash App, so that we can raise as much as we can, so we can do another mutual aid run for our communities. And this will be typically one of the things that we do the most is care packages, the toiletries for our unhoused neighbors. I know a lot of times people focus on food. We focus on toiletries and care packages. So if you guys would like to, you guys can donate via Cash App at $Orlando RBN. And this will be for us to help out our neighbors here in Central Florida. So if you guys would like to, you guys can also do that as well. So thank you so very much for helping out with that. Now, also, just to let you guys know, as far as this subject is concerned, I have to be very, very careful. But I do want to say that as far as Rome is concerned, We were able to raise up enough for the lawyer. However, if you guys would like to still contribute, you still can, to put money on his books so that he is dealing, okay, while incarcerated. So I will also put the link to his GoFundMe in the chat so that we can make the process less bumpy for him. So you guys have that there as well. And, of course, we're not at liberty to discuss, but if you guys can give him your support, then that is great. We deeply, deeply appreciate any assistance that you can give to Rome. So thank you very much for that. So with that being said, I'm about to head on out and do my thing. Guys, it was such a great show. It was wonderful to talk about the good news when it comes to the Amazon workers and, striking for Black Friday. And I'm also really happy to talk to Nick because it is, and also talk about solutions of what we can do and actually push for something better for ourselves. It is, it is good to talk about solutions because we can talk about the issues, which is important, but we also talk about what we can do in order to improve our situation as workers, as average people, as poor people within this system, because we got to depend on ourselves, and that's what we have to do. So I, definitely appreciate all of it. So we're going to do now is we are going to do a patron shout out on our way out. And so I just want to thank every single one of you for tuning in. Look, be sure to tune in tomorrow. Wait, what in the world is going on tomorrow? Let me see, because I don't know what's on the schedule. I know Zoya's been scheduling like a mad woman. Putting that good guest too. So tune in Tuesday at 3. Nick is going to have a guest. I don't know if he wants to say who the guest is, so I'm not going to say, but he definitely has a guest at 3 o'clock on Tuesday. So be sure to tune in this Tuesday on RBN. And then we're going to have the roundtable with Dr. CBS. And then on Friday, yes, Nick will also have another guest on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to tune in to RBN. I think Savvy's going live at 5, if I'm correct. That lady has been working so hard. She needs to take a break. She needs to take a week off. She's been working her booty off like a soldier. But that's why we love her. But if she's live later today at 5, tune in, watch her, right? And look, put in the chat that I sent you. All right, everybody. Shout out to the patrons for on Patreon. For without you guys, we would not be able to do this work. You guys make this possible, and we appreciate every single one of you. Yes, you, and of course, you too, because without you guys, this channel would not exist. And we're able to bring on guests like we did earlier today that also expand our minds, expand our thinking, expanding our understanding. And also, just like I played earlier, Revolution is really about the transfer of information in order to help people to grow, to realize the power that they have. And that's part of what Revolution is. Revolution, in the beginning of Revolution, is education. Education about our world, education about what will actually help us to do better. So thank you so very much to everybody for making Revolutionary Blackout Network your home for this information and expanding and also building community. And so you guys allow us to be able to not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. And so for that, we thank you so very much. Water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. Do all the things if you got them. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Mwah, forehead kisses, because that's the kind of guy I am. All right, time to have the RBN meeting afterwards. Let's go say hello to all my favorite people. My comrade!